I'm calling in from Hungerford, very sunny today, and we're going to be talking through some of Klipboard's e-apps for manufacturing. Just as a note, when I say manufacturing, if you aren't aware, LV had a rebrand. So when we talk about manufacturing, we're talking about LV and the e-apps that connect into it. If you're not aware at all, the e-apps are a suite of mobile applications that we have set up and integrated with LV that allow you to connect warehouses and shop floor activity directly back into the ERP. So they remove paper, reduce errors, and help teams work faster using that real-time data. So the three applications we're going to be looking at today are ePick, eReceipt, and eStockCheck. So whether you're booking in goods or picking customer orders, making deliveries or working on the shop floor, our mobile apps are designed to support those tasks in the physical location where the work takes place. Each application integrates natively with Klipboard manufacturing and delivers measurable productivity improvements across the entire operation. First, we're going to look at ePick. ePick transforms your picking process. It guides users step by step on the mobile device on the shop floor. Pick tasks can be selected from the device, with the app directing the picker to each bin in the correct order. Product images from the Klipboard manufacturing help prevent mistakes, with barcode scanning speeding up confirmation, and issues such as damaged or missing items reported immediately on the spot on the application. Once complete, picks are uploaded automatically to the Klipboard manufacturing, which removes any paperwork and accelerates fulfillment across all of your branches. When we look at ePick itself and the value it brings into your business, it allows your fulfillment to become faster and more accurate. It allows stock levels to stay accurate in real time as picks and shortages are posted instantly. One of the key features that Klipboard manufacturing allows is that live connection into the software, meaning your shop floor data goes straight to your device and you can see it on your computer in real time. Scan-driven workflows reduce picking areas, and optimized walk routes can increase picker productivity. We've got a demo video here now, which will walk you through the step-by-step of how a general pick goes using ePick. ePick allows warehouse operatives to pick sales and works orders using a mobile device, with all activity updating to Klipboard manufacturing in real time. The result is faster picking, fewer errors, and clearer visibility for the wider business. To start this process, we will need a sales order in the system. In this example, the order will contain three types of item: a standard item, a serial controlled item, and a batch controlled item. To action this order in the warehouse, we need to generate a document called a pick task. Pick tasks are used for both sales and works orders and act as a control point for warehouse picking. When the pick task is created, it immediately does a few important things. First, it resequences the order lines into an optimized bin location order, regardless of how the sales order was originally entered. This reduces unnecessary walking and travel time, improving pick efficiency. Second, the task can be given a priority. This can be done either automatically or manually. And third, it can be assigned to a specific picker. This ensures that the right person handles the job. If the pick is left unassigned, it will simply sit in the available queue for any picker to pick up. On the mobile device, the picker can search for a specific pick task number, take the next highest priority task, or browse the list of available tasks. In this example, I'll pick task 207. Before starting, the app shows a clear summary, including the customer's name, order number, the total number of lines, and the total weight of the order. This immediately helps the picker understand how large the order is and plan packaging if required. When we start the pick task, the app loads the items and presents them in the exact order they should be picked. The system then directs me to the first bin location, and at this point I can either scan the item using the integrated barcode scanner or use the touchscreen. Even though this is a standard product, the system we're currently on is configured to automatically generate batch references, so I'm prompted to select the correct batch. I can confirm quickly by tapping or scanning, which increments the pick quantity to match. The next item is serial controlled. Here, accuracy is crucial. The app ensures the correct serial number is selected, and if the serial number isn't available, I can choose an alternative serial or batch, and the system shows me the valid alternatives. I'll select an alternative serial that's available in the same bin and confirm it. This ensures full traceability whilst keeping the pick moving along. The final item is batch controlled. In this example, I'll intentionally short pick the item to show how the system handles exceptions. When I confirm a lower quantity than expected, the app requires me to select a reason code, such as not found or damaged. Reason codes are user-defined, ensuring shortages are explained, logged, and visible back in Klipboard manufacturing to follow up on. Before completing the pick, ePick clearly highlights any exceptions. Here I can see which item was underpicked, the quantity difference, and the reason code entered. This prevents mistakes from being missed on larger pick tasks. When I confirm the pick, ePick immediately completes the pick task. It then creates a goods note in Klipboard manufacturing and, where configured, can trigger an automatic document printing. This could be a dispatch note printing at a packing station or loading bay without any manual intervention. If we look back at the sales order in Klipboard manufacturing, we can now see the dispatch link to the order, the actual serial number picked, the partial batch quantity, and the reason code for the shortage. The suggested allocations are automatically uploaded to show the actual picked values, maintaining full stock integrity. What ePick demonstrates is true mobile picking, with real-time ERP updates, full batch and serial traceability, controlled exception handling, and automated downstream processes. ePick gives warehouse teams the mobility they need whilst ensuring the business retains full visibility, accuracy, and control. Thank you. Looking at ePick overall, some of the key areas to keep in mind is efficiency-wise, having those planned routes for your pickers to walk means you're not looking at alternative ways, you're not looking in places the stock isn't, it will take you directly where you need to be. Removing that paper trail isn't just a case of environmentally friendly. What it also allows you to do is stop the bits of paper stuck to your products, stuck to your storage locations or around your warehouse that could be picked up, could be lost, or could otherwise be damaged, meaning that information is also lost. Tracking the key reasons and any faults and reporting that directly to the system means you know what's coming into your warehouse, the state it is, and how it should be managed. Next, we'll go on to e-receipts. So e-receipts enables goods to be receipted directly at the delivery bay or truck using a mobile device. Purchase orders can be quickly located via a search or barcode scan, and good receive notes are generated automatically. The app will handle complex scenarios such as under or over receipting and batch or serial controlled items. Notes and images captured at the receipting stage improve traceability and accountability. All of the data captured within the e-receipts app will go straightly back into LV or Klipboard manufacturing. One key point to highlight during this presentation is how much the location matters for increasing productivity. It may not sound like much, however, we're all aware of the time costs associated with getting to a workstation, logging in and entering data into a system. Being able to do that on the fly from a mobile device in the location that your goods are at the time, outside in the delivery bays, or whilst speaking with the drivers themselves, you can capture all of that data and get it directly back into LV. We've got another demonstration now of the e-receipt in action. In this demonstration, we'll look at one of the integrated applications within the LV system, the e-receipts application. The app is designed to work seamlessly with purchase orders, providing a fast, mobile, and accurate way to receipt goods into the system. To begin with, we have a purchase order on screen containing 3 different items. Each of these items is handled slightly differently by the application depending on its type. The first is a standard product, which simply requires a quantity to be entered and confirmed. The second is a batch controlled product, which requires both a quantity and identifying reference, such as a supplier batch or lot number. The third is a serial controlled product, which requires one unique serial number for each individual unit. In this example, that means entering 10 unique serial numbers. Understanding these product types allows the e-receipt app to guide the user through the correct receipting process automatically. The application first requires us to identify which purchase order we are receipting against. Ideally, the delivery information will include the purchase order number, which can be typed in directly to locate the order. If the purchase order number isn't available, the app also allows you to search by scanning or entering the product reference or barcode. This will return any matching purchase order that include those items. Once the purchase order is selected, the app asks for confirmation before proceeding.
After confirming the purchase order, the app prompts for two additional pieces of information. The first is the GRN reference, which is stored on the goods received note. This could be a delivery note number, a vehicle registration, or another reference used by the business. The second is the receipt date. By default, this is set to the current date, which is recommended for live receipting. However, the date can be adjusted if you are catching up on receipts from the previous day, subject to system controls. Once this information is entered, selecting Create moves us onto the receipting screen. At this stage, all expected items appear on screen, the standard, batch, and serial products. In addition to the item list, the app also provides a notes section where additional information can be stored. There is also an image caption option, allowing users to take photos, such as evidence of damage or delivery conditions. Any notes or images recorded here are saved directly against the goods received note. There are two ways to receipt items in the eReceipt app. If an integrated scanner is available, users can scan a barcode, product or supplier part number. The app automatically matches this to the correct item and takes the user to the relevant receipting screen. Alternatively, items can be scanned directly from the touchscreen. For batch control products, the app requests a batch and a lot reference, an expiry date if required, and a quantity. Quantities can be entered manually or adjusted using plus and minus controls. Once the full expected quantity is receipted, an item is visually marked as complete. Multiple batches can be entered if required, allowing quantities to be split across a lot of different numbers. Standard items. Standard items do not require a batch reference. The user simply records the quantity either directly or by selecting the item. Serial controlled items. For serial controlled items, the app presents an individual field for each required serial number. Each unit is recorded separately. If fewer serials are entered than expected, the app clearly flags this as an under-receipted. Once all items have been processed, the app moves through into the confirmation stage. Here the system validates the receipt and highlights any expectations, such as under-receipted items. This is particularly useful on large orders, as it draws attention to discrepancies that might otherwise be missed. If the user is satisfied that any expectations are valid, they can confirm the receipt, posting back to the LV system. After confirmation, the receipt is posted back to the LV system. Depending on the confirmation or configuration, the system may automatically provide put-away instructions, guiding users on where the goods should be stored. These instructions can then be completed using a separate application if required. Refreshing the purchase order shows fully receipted items, partially receipted items, the generated good note. Within the receipt, users can see captured notes, images, batch details, and serial references stored against relevant records. As part of this receipting process, the system can automatically trigger label printing. Once the good is posted, the labels can be generated containing information such as the purchase order number, the goods receipt number, batch or serial identities, supplier references, and barcodes. This automation allows warehouse users to receipt goods entirely from a mobile device while still producing compliant and system-generated labels. The eReceipt application provides a robust, mobile-friendly solution for receipting goods. It supports standard, batch-controlled and serial-controlled products, clearly highlighting discrepancies, and integrates tightly with the LV system. With built-in validation, image capture, and automated label printing, eReceipts make the receipting process faster, more accurate, and easier for all warehouse teams to complete.
One of the key benefits we have with the eReceipts, eStockCheck, and ePick apps is their ease of use. They're not complex. I know they look slightly challenging in parts of the videos, but the actual walkthrough process and the daily use is really easy. It's easier than using the LV side in some cases, which means your warehouse staff will not have issues learning it or anything along those lines. They're easily accessible. So, for example, they're on the App Store. I could go on now, request a quote and a module license from the LV team, and then download it straight onto an application or device. If at any point, for example, with e-receipting, you're struggling to find a mobile device not a mobile itself, but a scanner or a keypad or a sign pad, things like that, please reach out and we can easily help you and advise on suppliers that we have some good working relationships with. Next, we're going to look at e-stock check. E-stock checking is an especially useful one in the manufacturing and distribution businesses. When you've got a large warehouse or you have to regularly keep track or update your stock records, stock takes can take forever. As someone who's had to do stock takes, I've worked in warehouses before. I've done them on the paper clipboards with a tick box and a pen. I understand how long they take. This can be significantly cut down with e-stock check. One of the key areas isn't just its validation and human error removal. It also speeds up the process completely by allowing you just to scan a barcode. These barcodes can be printed from LV. We can generate reports to produce the barcodes. We can help you with that along the way. So you can produce those labels, stick them on, and then you just need to scan and go. It cuts down the amount of time taken by stock check significantly, whilst making sure the stock that you're picking up is correct.
To demonstrate how e-stock check works, we'll start by creating a stock take and then walk through the full process, from setup to scanning on a mobile device through to reconciliation in the LV system. For this example, I've created 3 products within my LV system and assigned each product a unique barcode. These barcodes are stored on the product record under the Other tab within the barcode section. Once created, these barcodes can be printed as physical labels and attached either to the products themselves or to specific storage locations. These labels are then scanned using a handheld device and the eStock Check mobile application. Now that the products and barcodes are set up, the next step is to create the stock take. I navigate to the stock take module and create a new one. During this step, I can define where users within the stock take application will be counting. This could be restricted to a specific bin, an area, or narrowed down to a specific product group. For this demonstration, I'm including a range of 3 products. I've selected all warehouses and excluded obsolete products. Before starting, I select Preview, which confirms the 3 selected products and shows where the stock currently exists, in this case the STK warehouse. Once the stock take has been created, I can then start it and then assign it to the application. At this point, the stock take is live and assigned to the eStock Check app. You will notice that the stock take status is marked as in progress, indicating that scanning can now begin. Next, I log into eStock Check application on my mobile device. After logging in, I can see all outstanding stock takes from my LV system. For this demo, I'll select Count 117, which has been set up in the STK warehouse. I select the stock take, allow it to load, then choose Start once I'm happy with the information. With the stock takes open, I have 2 options for entering counts. I can either select the products manually from the list or use the barcode option, which activates the device camera and allows me to scan products directly. Once a product is scanned, I can move on to the next one. For the next item, I'll manually enter the quantity. In this case, I only need to add 1 and then confirm the product. For the final product, I again use the barcode scanner. Here you'll notice the difference between session and total counts. Session refers to the current counting session, whilst the total reflects all counts combined. This is because additive counting is enabled. I can now return to the stock take later if required and continue counting. Now that I've completed scanning one of each item, I can complete the stock take. Submitting the count sends it back to the LV system. If the stock take had only been partially completed, the application would prompt me to either stop the count or cancel it. Cancelling it would submit only the partial quantities already counted. In this example, the stock take is complete and ready to be reviewed back in the LV system. Back in the LV system, I navigate to stock counts and review the most recent one. You'll see the status remains in progress, but the counted quantities have been updated. This places the stock take into the review stage, where I can select additional and choose to reconcile. At this stage, I have also the option to perform a global deallocate or a global unreserve if needed. If during the stock take I scanned a product that was not expected in a location, for example a box of nails found amongst screws, I could still scan it and record it. That item wouldn't count against the expected stock take items, but would instead appear under found items. This allows visibility of mislocated products or items that may not exist in the system at all. This completes a full stocktake process using the eStockTake application from initial setup and mobile scanning through to review and reconciliation in LV.
One of the key things that we looked at in that stock take, but I didn't touch on within the video, was you saw there was 2 stock takes available on the application. When you do a stock take, you don't have to put the full stock take to one person. You can break that stock take down into warehouses, bins, depending on what level you want to measure at or what level you want to check at. Each of these stock takes can then be assigned to a different individual. So if you had 5 people working at your warehouse, you had 5 scanners on it, you had 5 licenses, you'd be able to split the job into 5 pieces and have everyone work in their own areas without distracting or overwriting anyone else's data. The found items field doesn't just cover items that are within the system, it will cover unknown barcodes as well. So it will highlight if you scan something that's not on the system at all. It's really useful for in situations where something's been placed in the wrong location and you're not sure where it should be. Putting it in the found items, it could have been written off before, will allow you to unwrite that off and do a stock update so you've got that in stock ready to sell. This helps break down and prevents loss of inventory, control of inventory levels, and helps reduce write-offs. It allows you to meet customer demand more consistently by knowing what's in your warehouse and when, without the requirement of having additional purchase orders. Having that shortened time, the efficiency that all the apps provide. I understand there might be some questions, so I'm going to stop my sharing now so I can see the presentation and have a look at any of the queries. Devices are the apps on. They're available on Android and iPhone versions on the Google Play Store and the App Store for Apple. We tend to recommend Android scanners for the actual warehouse. Most companies tend to use the Android ones. So having that and a robust case tends to make it cheaper than having an iPhone for every user. Do I change my current process to use these apps in my business with LV? You may need to, depending on the application, but part of the PSG process, part of the licensing is we'll talk you through that. So we'll go through your current setup, we'll do the configuration, and as part of the training sessions that we provide, we'll talk you through what changes may be required in your process. Do I have to use all 3 applications or can I just use one? They're all separate applications, so you can have one at a time, you could have all 3. It depends on your business need. It might be that ePick isn't as required for you, but you have to do quite regular stock checks, so eStockCheck is a better option. What settings are required in the current cycle count show all information in the summary as currently found items don't show. This could be a real issue if using the mobile StockTake app. So that looks like as long if that item itself was not considered obsolete or was still on your stock record. So if you've got no information about the product, you wouldn't see it in the summary for the non-found products. You'd just see what's on your system. Instead, it will give you an error on the app if it's not already on the system. So you have to have the product set up for it to register in LV rather than just give you the warning. How does ePick plan a route via bin? Is it alphanumerical? That's in the orders that you've placed it. So that is, it will be where your first product is. How do you scan delivery notes on e-receipts to save keeping paper copy? Yes, so you could take the picture of the receipts. And when you use the camera app itself, you could scan and take the picture of the receipting, and then that saves onto the product record or onto the receipt record as shown in the video. So you'll have that actual scan of the image if you didn't want to keep the paper one. If you wanted to keep a paper copy, if you wanted to keep an exact scan, you could place that on manually as well if you didn't use the e-receipt app. Either way, you can store those against the stock record. If you have any queries or questions at all, feel free to reach out. It might be it's something that you've not thought of right now, but later down the line, we'll of course go through it with you. If you want a demonstration or a discussion on any of the apps more in person and see how they'd fit your business case, again, please reach out. More than happy to do something more direct with you guys. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining this webinar for eApps. We'll make sure the video itself is available along with the presentation, just in case you wanted to have a quick flick through or a reference to anything that was discussed today. Otherwise, thank you very much. Bye-bye.